welcome to Living Ardently. I'm your host, Adrian Giraldi, and this is my co-host, but he's not here right now. There he is. And we're here with another Q&A for today's episode. We're taking a break from the COVID collabs and collabing with Jurell. So yeah, we'll get right into it. So we are back with another Q&A this month. I was going to just eliminate this, but I was like, no, like this is some good stuff, and you guys really enjoy these episodes, and I get a lot of feedback from it. So Jurell's back with, he's a co-host that he's gonna be doing these Q&As as much as possible. Maybe we'll even do more in the future, like not just Q&As, but like outside and just talking about a certain topic, or maybe just taking one question and making a whole episode out of it. Because sometimes some of these questions I don't know if we can do justice in the time that we try to answer all of them. So
yeah, it takes a lot of time. Though we were talking before we recorded. We were on for 2 hours last time.
Yeah, and only like an hour 20 minutes got used, and it was crazy.
But it was so much fun, and well, I don't know what's gonna happen today, but I'm so pumped right now. So
yeah,
it's good stuff.
It's good to have you. It's good to have you back. I know been having a crazy
you see
month.
my toilet? You see my stack of toilet paper in the background?
That's insane. That's COVID right there.
I'm in my basement. It's very fancy.
Right. That's awesome. I mean, you have a nice little setup down there. So
see, like in my I got my nice camera up here, and then typically you don't see all this stuff.
But yeah, because it's like nice and
there's like toys on the ground.
Is that where you did the blackout? The blackout?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
See, like that light bulb?
Uh-huh. That's awesome. So we have some pretty good questions, and we have a few of our past guests from this month come on and ask us some questions through voice memos. You can always do that through the link that I have in the description of all the episodes. So if you ever just feel like you want to ask a question or whatever the case may be, go up there, leave a voice memo. We're trying to get that to happen a lot more often. So,
yeah, please. I know it takes a lot of courage sometimes, but it really helps both of us out. I think it helps us to create better content.
Right.
If you got an authentic question, and even if you just pull one out, it makes it more fun. Especially if you're a listener. If you're a listener, come on, please.
Yeah. Right. I know. There's a lot of. I know you're listening. I mean, the listenership is there. You guys are watching the episode, so. And you guys are watching through you guys are listening through the episodes through the what I've seen from the analytics. So, come listen. I mean, ask the questions. I mean, like Jurell said last episode, it's the way you get to know your faith.
That's right.
Or get to know about us. I mean,
that's right. That's good stuff.
The catchphrase is practical. Personal, practical, and spiritual. Any questions are welcome, and we'll answer them. Today, there's not much personal questions as to just a lot of hard questions. So we'll get right into them here. Our first question today's episode is your favorite prayer. This is the most lighthearted one we have. And
is it seriously?
Yeah.
Holy cow!
I know. Where's my thing? So I have this little journal that I usually write. It's like a handy dandy little journal, but I don't know where it is right now. It has this prayer. Oh, it's in my Bible. Oh, it's right there. I'm dumb.
I'm looking mine up right now.
Right. So both of us this time didn't prepare. I just sprung these questions up on Jurell the night of the recording. And he doesn't get enough time to prepare, and I selfishly take time to prepare.
That's so true, bro.
This time I didn't, so now it's an even game. So this is my favorite. On my little prayer journal here, I have this prayer card that I love so much. The front of it is even better. It's my favorite image of Christ. Let me pull it out for you so you guys see what I mean. I have a bunch of prayer cards in my Bible. Also, if you don't have a portable Bible, what are you doing? You need to get one. I mean, Jurell's one up me. He has the portable catechism.
Yeah, shout out to Edmund.
Yeah.
I bought this. I've been wanting this, dude. Bro, I've been wanting this since, what? I'm going to pull it out. 2012.
Wow.
I'm an OG Reverb Culture fan.
That's awesome.
OG. So I've been wanting this since 2012. Thank you.
Yeah, you should supply me with a free one. So this
They're
is
not cheap.
I know. That's why I haven't bought one yet.
Been saving for 8 years, bro.
$1 a year. So here's the front of the prayer card, and it says, "For God so loved the world" on the bottom there, and it says, "Father, I abandon myself into your hands. Do with me what you will. Whatever you may do, I thank you. I am ready for all, and I accept all. Let only your will be done in me and on all your creatures. I wish no more than this, O Lord. Into your hands I commend my soul. I offer it to you with all the love in my heart, for I love you, Lord, and so need to give myself to surrender myself into your hands without reserve and with boundless confidence, for you are my Father. Amen." And it's like the best like morning like offering, or like offering for anything, like your day offering. And I used to pray it every morning, and I've kind of like fallen off the like consistency of praying it, but like I said, it's taped to the back of my journal, so like I can't miss it.
Yeah, I've never heard that prayer before. That's amazing.
Right, I think it's written by a monk, Charles de Foucauld. I can't say that. It says it right there.
Yeah, I can't see it, but it sounds right. Everybody DM Adrian and ask him to make a graphic of that prayer and put it in the highlight section.
Oh yeah, I think I already have taken a picture of it and put it in my highlights of my story.
Oh yeah, okay,
So
cool. Because I need that.
Yeah, I'll make sure it's up there. It might not be highlighted though.
Mine is
yours?
Mine's super similar. It has a lot to do with surrender and trust. So yours had like some really good words like abandon and only your will. So I think yours is a little bit more contemporary. We can like check to see when Foucault or whoever lived, but mine's from St. Ignatius, somewhere around like the 1500s.
Oh yeah.
And it's not. It's like. It's very, the language isn't like great, as in it's not very moving, but like I've just done a lot of work with this prayer, so it's taken on a lot of meaning.
Yeah.
And this is kind of like the final, I don't know if you've heard, but St. Ignatius has he has a spiritual exercises, a series of exercises that a Jesuit has to go through, and it's all about encountering Christ. So this is kind of like the final part of the spiritual exercises. It's a 30-day silent retreat, which a lot of the priests in Cleveland will go through that 30-day silent retreats with the spiritual exercises. So the prayer is called Suscipe. And Suscipe is Latin. What do you think the word is?
I just imagined paying for sushi. I'm sorry.
Sushi, like sushi roll.
Yeah.
I thought it was surrender.
What is it?
But it's not. So Suscipe is Latin for the word receive. And just like the title and just the word receive is like the most beautiful thing that like I like. That's like what I think of when I think of prayer.
Yeah.
Like take what I've got, and please let it be enough.
Yeah.
So the prayer just goes like this. It says, "Take, Lord, and receive all my liberty, my memory, my understanding, and my entire will, all I have, and call my own. You have given all to me, and to you, Lord, I return it. Everything is yours. Do with it what you will. Give me only your love and your grace. That is enough for me." So this prayer is the prayer that you read, just in St. Ignatius's kind of like his language. So it's just like that, just like your prayer, to that like utter surrender.
Right.
And St. Ignatius's life is like just like a life of like trying to force his own plans. Like he had this dream of becoming the greatest soldier in the world. And for the most part, he accomplished that until his leg was blown off by a cannonball.
Right.
and he was so obsessed with with his appearance and his vanity and his pride and the ladies. And back then, they would wear these tight leggings. Like back in the day in the courts.
Yeah.
His leg healed, but like it had this deformity on his like knee area. It, like when he wore his tights, it like showed this bulge. So he hired a freaking doctor to saw off the deformed bone.
I actually did not know that.
Yeah, that's how bad it was.
Wow.
So like when I think about this prayer, I just think about like how much control Saint Ignatius like tried to grab back, like literally like steal and grab and fight back to take it back. And then after all this trying, Saint Ignatius like falls to the ground and is like, I'm done.
Right.
Like I can't, like I've tried everything. And I can't do it anymore. So take, Lord, and receive everything, my memory, my freedom, the people that I love the most, because it's all yours anyways.
Right. Right.
It's all yours anything. And whatever you have given to me, I return it. Because all I need is your love and your grace. Yeah. Oh, let's go. Like, I love that. Get so pumped.
That part where he says, like, give, like, you have given me everything, I return everything to you. Like, oh, man.
Yes.
Like that simple thing.
Yeah. So I love that prayer.
That's so good. All right. So now we get right into the hard stuff. Because it doesn't really get any easier from here.
Shoot.
What was the hardest decision you had to make?
Are you going or me?
I think you go first this time.
All right, let me think. Let me just make sure that this was. So me and my wife Bridget we're going on 7 years of marriage. We've got 2 kids.
Awesome.
And I mean, getting here, just like anybody else's marriage, was a wild ride. So we had originally met in 7th grade.
Wow.
And then, so we went to the same grade school, high school, and college. Wow. And then what ended up happening? We started dating somewhere around sophomore, junior year. And
of high school or college?
Sorry, college. And not right away, like by senior year, it was like, I think like this is it. Like I think I'm in love with her. But there was, for both of us, there was like, I think there's still more. So I went to do a year of service in Detroit, Michigan at a Catholic school. I was pretty much like the lunch lady and taught a couple classes, like some reading, math, and language catch-up classes.
Right.
And then I came back, and so it was like we graduated college, and then we had this like, all right, this is going to be the test. Like she'll go to PA school to be a physician assistant in Pittsburgh. And then I'll go to Detroit and we'll do the long distance thing and we'll see what happens. But the only reason she went away was because I chose to go away.
Oh, wow.
Okay. She wanted to stay with me. So we had every intention on coming back together and continuing our relationship after this 1 year. Except after the 1 year, I had gotten 2 full rides, right? A full ride to the University of Dayton to be a graduate assistant in ministry, and then a full ride to John Carroll University to be, again, a graduate assistant resident minister, and both for a master's in theology. And I wanted to go to Dayton. Dayton has the largest Catholic like college campus ministry in the country. They have they've got like a very robust like strategic plan and blah blah blah. Yeah. And I was like, I imagined my life there. I was like, Bridge, I just got a full ride at the largest campus ministry, university campus ministry in the country. And she was like, well, okay, well, what about us? So I think, like, it sounds so small now, but like looking back, like that was definitely one of the hardest. I don't know about the single hardest, but like one of the hardest decisions was just like, if I went to Dayton, I just don't know how things would have turned out. I was so close. I was so close to going to Dayton, and I think like that was the decision that I took the most seriously. Like it was the most like urgent. Like I remember having my pros and cons list. I remember seeing multiple spiritual directors of like my past, one from high school, one from college, one from like my kid. It's like talking to so many people because I just felt like it was such a pivotal move, and it really was. So I chose John Carroll, and then that year we got engaged. So
wow,
yeah,
praise the Lord.
Cool. Yeah,
yeah. Mine was definitely like trying to decide whether I wanted to go to Ave Maria or not to study theology. I mean, again, I'm not sure if it's the hardest, but definitely one of the hardest decisions I had to make. That's because like everything I knew was West Palm Beach, which is where I was raised and I grew up. All my friends, this is where I became Catholic. This is where like all my good like Catholic friends are, my community is, my family. And like none of my friends or like I don't have any older siblings that had gone away for college. So it's like I would be venturing into a world that I had not experienced yet, or nobody I knew could give me advice on, because everybody was still local. Everybody older than me was still local. And so I was seeing my spiritual director for a while and just like, hey, like, I don't know if like, you know, because I was, at that time I was in my first year in college. I was already doing community college. And I knew I wanted to be a youth minister at that point. Kind of like, there was like a tugging in my heart. But like, I still wanted to, I still was on this path of doing graphic design and animation. Like I wanted to get into like work for Pixar and stuff, and I wanted to, you know, start my route that way. Yeah, and I was in a good pace. I mean, like for my first year, I like passed all my like graphic design and flying, like other classes like that, flying colors. And then, you know, like, but I had that tug in my heart to do youth ministry because I was already helping as a youth ministry volunteer as a college student for my youth group. I mean, like everybody was my friend, but like at the same time, I was now leading in a more like a more serious sense because I was like planning the meetings and stuff like that, and I loved it. And so like after like feeling that call and going, I visited Ave to visit my friend who was the previous youth minister. Like she was also a high school student teaching high school students. I fell in love with Ave the weekend that I spent there. I had more community. I built more, like in the 3 days that I visited, I had more of a community there than I did when I was in my 2 semesters at community college. Yeah. Like I had more friends. Like people literally like befriended me there as a visitor, and then it's like, hey, like when like they Facebooked me, and they like would, you know, when people would comment on walls. That was like a thing still. Yeah. Like I had people like comment on my walls or message me on Messenger from Ave. It was like, hey, like, are you gonna come this fall? Like, are you coming? We haven't heard from you in a while. Like and like they were checking on me. And I had applied and I was like, you know what? I'll apply. I don't have the funds for this. I don't have any, like my parents don't like almost filed for bankruptcy, like 2 years prior to me going to college. So like there was no way I was gonna be able to afford this. You know, like I can afford community college for sure, but private Catholic college, no way. But the Lord kind of, you know, willed it. I went to my spiritual director and he told me this, like the Latin quote, "Nemo dat quod non habet." You can't give what you don't have. And I was like, you can learn a lot through about youth ministry online and stuff like that, but the thing that's going to be invaluable to you is the experience of the professors that are going to teach you the deep theology that you probably won't get online. And like, yeah, you can probably find this theological answers like online, but you're not going to get the personal witness of these questions, you know, like of going to your professors and talking to them and asking them these questions. You're not going to have that online. The experience of college is invaluable and is going to help you become a better minister if this is really the path that you feel called to. And then I really got affirmed a few years later when I ran out of money and couldn't afford Ave anymore. When I decided to make the choice. The other hardest part was because I had a girlfriend back home. You know, like I if I go we're gonna go long distance. We used to seeing each other like almost every day. So like, and eventually that's what kind of like tore us apart, you know, like having to go. But it was like, again, I'm happy with what happened, you know. I came back to him. I was doing spiritual direction again, and I just told him like, yeah, like my money, I'm running out of money. This is happening in my life. I'm single now, blah 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 blah, all this stuff. And he, after the end of the spiritual direction, he was like, okay, so what do you need? How much money do you need for your semester? I'm like, Father, no, that's not what I came here to do. Like, I'm not here for money. He was like, no, like, that's fine. Money is fine. But money's not going to be the reason why you don't follow the call that you're being called to. And I was like, this was the first time I've ever been said, like, you have a calling to this. And I was like, oh, wow. And so that made like pursuing youth ministry and you know, going to Ave so much easier for the rest of the time, and like dedicated the rest of my time for, you know, this call. And so it was a hard decision to go there, but after the affirmation from my spiritual director, Father Kevin, like, out of this world, it became the best decision, you know.
Dang, bro.
Yeah. So, yeah, that was our second least deep one. This one I wanted to ask you. What have you learned from the past few years of the Mile a Day in May challenge? For those of you who don't know, the Living Person does the mile. This is like the fourth annual.
Yeah, fourth
annual mile. They started a Mile a Day in May challenge where you run, you walk, you just go out and do a mile, intentional mile each day in May. And they've been doing this for 4 years now. I ran I had a PR last year. This is when I really decided to do it. I saw it the second year. I was like, no, I'm not a runner. The third year, of it, and I was just like, oh, well, I am training for a Spartan. So I just tried it one day. I was like, let's just see where I am. And then I got addicted, and I just kept doing it. And so at the end of it all, I got a 9-minute mile, which was an amazing feat, and I have not run that fast since then. But
yeah, that's crazy.
It was awesome. So what have you learned in these past few years?
Yeah, I mean, so much. I don't know if I'll be able to say it all, but I mean, there's stuff that I learned about myself. There's stuff I learned about social media. There's stuff I learned about why it continues in the first place. Mm-hmm. You know, like the first year that we did it, like the Mile a Day Challenge, I think that we started in 2015. That was the very first one. And that was the very first community challenge that we launched. And then me and my friend Craig and Kyle, they were just doing this like in their everyday life, you know. So like maybe we can just invite people to do it for May. It's nice outside, you know, it's perfect time. Right. And then people started to do it. I'm like, oh my gosh, like people are signing up, you know. So, and people are posting their stuff. So, and then we're like, we got to continue this. So we came up with a challenge. You can go on our YouTube and see, we came up with a challenge for every single month of the year for that year. Oh, and wow. none of them even came close to the Mile a Day Challenge. You know, like, really? We put out challenges that 0 people would sign up for. You know? Wow. Like many of the challenges, 0 people signed up for. And we just you know, whatever. Yeah. But there was something about the Mile a Day. So the only one that we continued was the Mile a Day, which is something that you just, if you're on the social media grind, podcast grind, if you're like thinking about like building a brand, those are things to pay attention to. Right. Like you put out content for a year, you got to review what you put out and see what worked and what didn't work. Right. You know, like I didn't know that we were going to end up being the Mile a Day Challenge like hub of social media. There's actually a page. There's actually an Instagram that's the Mile a Day. Oh, really? Know? Yeah. I'm like, oh, sorry, man. didn't mean to like steal that or whatever, but like it just happened. Yeah. So I think if you're doing some sort of social media thing, it's important to pay attention to what people grab onto and hold onto, and it might not be the thing that you want. Right. But it's still in your lap, right? You know? And you have to decide, like, this is what the people want. It's evident from the statistics. Am I going to throw it away and pick something that I want, or am I going to find a way to make it work? And we found a way to make it work. I mean, it just matched up with everybody's interests. The people that that were on my team. I loved running. Craig, my other co-founder, who largely kind of just like stepped down in 2016 because his main living person challenge back in like 2012. He set a goal to get his PhD, and he's going to get his PhD, I think, this year or next year.
Sweet.
In clinical psychology, which he brought like the behavioral psychology into this. Like, pick a goal, make it happen. Awesome. So there's so many things about the mile a day, but the most recent thing that I learned is that I got my PR yesterday, and like. You like tend to think you're so far away until you start working for it, and then it just like get closer and closer and closer, and you're like, I was literally afraid yesterday that I wasn't gonna do it, and I beat it by a lot, so that was like a huge affirmation that like that piece of me is still in there. I just gotta work for it. Sometimes it's just not in there, but you won't know unless you try. So yeah.
That's true. I mean, like I remember last year, like I set a goal just to get at 10, and I got that 10-minute mark because I started at 13 minutes, and within like a week I was under 10. I was like, what the heck? Like I don't like. I mean, granted I was on a treadmill, but it was just easier for me because I usually worked out at night, and I'm terrified of running at night. And Jurell loves running at night. I do. Like, I don't know if I can trust my neighborhood, Yeah. So,
but that's why your stories were so addicting. It's like, it was just like over and over again, so many different times of you underestimating yourself, but then you overcoming it. It was just like, this kid is crazy. So it's like, I'm going to try for a 10. We'll see what happens. Guys, I got it.
It's true.
You're like, what? And then that zoom in feature, Yeah. It was so cool to follow. So
it was fun. It was a great time to kind of really challenge yourself, and I still love it. I mean, like this year I'm not as active as trying it. I'm like just trying to stay active because during quarantine I've been pretty sedentary. I've been like pretty lazy. I've been trying 2 weeks ago, I was like, if I'm not gonna move, I'm gonna have to at least, cook and eat well,
Heck yeah.
And so, my goal for this year was to at least be active each day somehow, whether it's walking, running, working out at home, where versus last year, I mean, like it sucks because like I'm such a gym body, and not having having to like figure out how to work out at home without anything. It's so hard for me, so it just makes me like, oh, you know what? Forget about it. Like I'm fine, like da 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 da. And so, it was hard. But last year, it showed me that I am capable of doing things that I think are hard, that I think are impossible. So like, I've learned a lot from it too. So I'm glad to see this year a lot of people like trying to do like this,
This, I love it.
Doing it in ways where they're challenging themselves, like how fast they can go, or just like staying committed. So it's really nice.
That's good stuff. Thanks for the question.
Yeah. Now we got we have a couple, some of our guests from this year, this COVID collab month craziness. This has been my mile day thing.
Yeah, your month.
My month too. I mean, where because I wanted to do this originally for June, which is our anniversary month, but I knew that at that time we might not have as much free people because the world's going to open up again. So I decided to do this now and trying to do something new for the anniversary. So we had like Taylor Schroll from Forte Catholic come on. We had some amazing people, Meg Wells from Meg Wells on Instagram, and a few other people that have been great. And we have a few more people coming up. But I had asked them, I was like, hey, why don't you ask a question and send in a question and stuff like that. And so they sent some in. And this is a good one from Taylor Schroll from Forte Catholic.
Who is your favorite podcaster and why is it Taylor Schroll? No, I'm just kidding. What question in regards to the spiritual life do you think that more people should be asking and getting answers to? For example, for me, it's like I don't know what people's personal prayer lives look like, and I want to be holy. So I ask all the holy people I know, what does your prayer life look like? What is that question for you? The thing that more people should be getting real practical answers for. Peace.
And that's a really good one, and I've been thinking about it all day, and I still am not sure. But I have a couple ideas. But why don't you take a crack at that one first?
Bro, you're just like. Come on, I need some time. I don't know if you can cut this out.
I can cut it out. It's fine.
Wait, let me just think about something really quick. I have a lame one written down, but I have something that might be pretty good.
Okay. I'll take a crack at it first, actually. So, the one that I personally love to ask people, but I don't feel many people ask, is asking people for their story. That's why I started the testimony podcast, and doing the Instagram showcases, just asking people about their story and letting them share, because everybody has such a different has met even the ones that were cradled Catholic and then fell away from the church as a teen and then came back because of a retreat, which is usually Steubenville, and then and then now I know Lord is real, and even when that's the same blueprint, the way it came about, and the way that the blessings that come from it derive from those moments, it's always so different, and seeing how their life progresses after that is awesome. And so when I do these testimonies, I do these things called tab nights at my church, called Testimony, Adoration, and Benediction nights, where I have a friend come up and share their testimonies, and then we follow by adoration and benediction.
Tab night?
Tab night, yeah.
Love it.
It's really cool. Some people think it's theology on tap, but it's it's no, these are teenagers. You can't drink.
You can't drink.
And when I tell them, it's hey, I just want you to be brutally honest with your testimony. If you failed and you struggled with lust in the relationship, I don't need you to share the detail, but I want you to be real with my teens, because my teens are struggling with that. I want you to be real if you struggled with drug addiction, because there's some teens that are struggling with that. And I just want to hear. I don't need the details, but I want to hear the reality of it. The dark parts that you don't want to do, obviously what you're comfortable sharing, but if you want to run it by me first, we can talk through it, and so just hearing people's stories for me is something that I do often, and I feel I want other people to do it often as well, because we learn so much from each other, and that's why I think these Q&As, we're not. I'm a youth minister, Jurell's a campus minister. We're not and I'm not the perfect Catholic. I'm not going to say that for Jurell, because he definitely is closer to perfect than I am.
Stop that.
But, we still have something to offer because of our different experiences. And so do you. So, share your stories with other people, and don't be afraid to ask people about their stories. I think that's a question that we should ask more. I used to do these things in college where I'd do friend dates, and then I would just ask them, hey, tell me your testimony. And that's kind of how that started and evolved. So, yeah, I think that's mine.
That's good, man.
Right.
People need to know stories.
It's true.
That's a crazy question. All right, I'll try to take a stab at it.
Okay.
I think that the question that people need the most practical answers to, I spent 4 years teaching a course called the Paschal Mystery in a high school sophomore classroom, and that's how we started with the Paschal Mystery. We started with the question, does God exist? And then we went right into Genesis. Went through all of salvation history, and then ended with the cross. So we did literally salvation history all the way through, but we started with the question, does God exist? So I think the question that I believe people need the most practical answers to is, who/what is God? That's the question. I feel like some of even like our mentors and spiritual directors really struggle with that question. Mm-hmm. I also feel really, really blessed to like have wrestled with that content and just that singular question for 4 years and had to try to answer that question in front of high schoolers that like are so brutal with their questions. It's like, oh yeah, how about this and this and this, and like I'm just like trying to like pew pew. So but I wanted to give you just a practical answer from Bishop Robert Barron, and then a practical answer from a mentor of mine from my theology graduate program, Dr. Ed Hannenberg, and he's talking about St. Thomas Aquinas. So there's like a viral video, one of his first videos from Bishop Barron.
Yeah.
And he basically says that so many people think of God as like this supreme being up in the clouds, you know. Mm-hmm. And like if you have that model of God, it's just like it's so easy to blame God because God's up there and I'm down here, and God's obviously doing these like messed up things in my life. Right. But that's not it at all. Mm-hmm. Like so just practically, that's just not the model of God that Christianity believes in, you know. So Robert Barron says this. He said that Thomas Aquinas, I'll throw some Latin just so like people can learn and take this in as a part of their vocab. Right. Thomas Aquinas said that God is not ens summum, which means supreme being. Mm-hmm. Rather, God is ipsum esse subsistens, the very act of existence itself, right? Mm-hmm. So when you think about that, God becomes much more mysterious. Like God isn't this white dude with a beard up in the clouds, you know, trying to like control our every move. Right. God is the very ground of being that we are existing in, you know, and God's presence permeates all things, you know. Everything is a reflection of God in our lives, even us, you know. Mm-hmm. So when atheists, Bishop Barron has this great line. It's like when atheists say like I don't believe in God, like how can you believe in God that like gives kids cancer like just for the fun of it? It's like, well, I don't believe in that God either. Right. You know, like that's not the God that's not even the God that's in my like anywhere in my ballpark. Right. You know? So to develop that answer and to develop a practical answer that people can try to dialogue with you, and just like have, I don't want to call it a defense, but just to, in a beautiful way, explain what you believe about God. Mm-hmm. I think that's you got to break those pieces up in the most practical and beautiful way as possible. Right. So, yeah.
That was a great one. Wow.
Thanks.
Yeah. Whew. Good question, Taylor. My gosh. That's a hard one.
Can I read one more line here?
Yeah, do it.
So this is from one of my favorite people. He was my theology mentor. And he says that I'm just going to read line by line, but I think you'll get a lot from this. Mm-hmm. Are you with me?
Yeah.
Okay. He says he's writing. This is Dr. Hannenberg writing about St. Thomas Aquinas. He says, interestingly, St. Thomas Aquinas chooses the word esse over ens. He chooses existence over a being. Aquinas was effectively saying it's better to think of God as a verb than as a noun. God is action, movement, a force moving through the world. There is another reason to speak of God as love, because love is a verb. Love is an action and a way of relating. Wow. The first letter of John proclaims God is love. John does not call God a lover. That would be a noun. Instead, John uses a verb. God is love. So I really love that. Wow. That type of like thinking. And this is all theology, right? Like even in the catechism it says every word and every like series of words that we put together will not come close to the magnitude and mystery of what God is and who God is in our lives. Mm-hmm. Like it's all limited, and it's just like putting like pieces of language together for us to understand what we know to be true, that there's something more and something fueling us and giving us life and helping us to love one another and all these things. So
yeah,
I get really excited about it.
Yeah, that's really great to say. Like, you think it's better to think of him as a verb, as an action. Oh man, that's so good. Like so going to school for theology is definitely was such a blessing, because it was so challenging to make to think the way that you ought to think. We all ought to think, not just as theologians, but as Christians, as Catholics. Because it's just, oh man, when we get to know the theology of God and the theology of God, God is the study of God, right? I just feel like the connection and relationship becomes more beautiful and complicated.
Yes.
But, so whenever I minister to my teens, I don't shy away from giving them good theology, or true theology, or deep theology rather, because it's they're not incapable of understanding. They just have to be challenged to understand.
Right. Amen, bro.
So we're gonna take a break right there on that heavy note. We're gonna come back with some more with questions for the rest of this episode. We'll be right back. So for those of you listening on YouTube right now, you're getting a different ad than you would if you're listening on the audio format of the podcast. And that's because we are doing different ads here. On the audio form, we promote Anchor so we can get some, ad revenue from there. And right now we are using this slot on YouTube for anything else. We'll also include these slots into the audio format, as part of the ads as well. It just then becomes back to back sometimes. So if you want to use this ad slot for anything for your company, or we can talk, I'll reach out and this could be a slot for you. Right now, if you want to support the podcast, please go to Anchor and click on the link in the description below and support us financially by donating $1 a month, $2 a month, whatever you can. Anything and everything is welcome and very, very appreciated. So if you feel so generously to do so, and if you enjoyed the podcast, that'd be cool. Eventually we will start a Patreon, but for now, Anchor is the way that we are setting up our donations. God bless you, and thank you for considering. Let's get back to the episode. All right, we're back with more questions of today's Jurell snacking on some Cheez-Its. I have my full dinner right here. It's cold now. During times where I've cut out, I've been snacking, and maybe on one of them you probably see me chewing on something. Well, that's what I'm chewing on.
I was thinking that you were gonna snack a little bit during the break.
I should have, but it's all good. I mean, at this point it's cold. I need to reheat it anyway.
Do you like your food piping hot?
Not piping hot, but at least lukewarm.
Yeah, it's gotta be hot.
Right. I don't know. It's just I like my cookies warm.
There you go.
That's
I do too.
My thing. So we have another one from Queen, who was a guest as well on this episode. Here's one that she had that was directly towards you.
Hey team, it's Queen here from Sydney, Australia. Really excited to ask Jurell a question. So thanks for the opportunity. So as you might know, the church in Australia is growing and definitely isn't necessarily at the scale as it is in the States. And for obvious reasons, we're very different. We have very different contexts. But I do see an opportunity for us in Australia to look at social media and find ways to proclaim the gospel in that way. So as a co-founder of The Living Person, I guess I'd like to ask, how do you develop a brand and gain the follower base that you have, and then sustain that? I think there's a whole ton of us here, particularly in Australia, who would love to gain your insight. So I'm looking forward to hearing your answer. All right. Hope to see you both soon. God bless.
Cool.
That question's so hard and so complex. Right. I don't know exactly what the church in Australia looks like or feels like. I know she didn't mean to do this. Shout out Queen.
Yeah.
She said, obviously it's different. I'm like, I really want to know like the nuances, of like how it is different, because I mean, like, Australia is like just south of the Philippines,
Yeah.
And the Philippines is the most Catholic Asian country, I believe, still.
Mm-hmm.
So there's just geographically, like, there's a ton of Catholics just north, but then again, there's like just like such a little small set of islands, So
Right.
but yeah, how do you build a brand? My answer these days is collabs, and I think that's probably not the first time you're hearing that. But like when you're building a brand, something to be cautious of is the enemy creeping in and telling you that it's about you. Because like that's how about this? I'll tell you, that's the way to destroy a brand.
Right. Oh, that's good.
Because I don't know if I have the answer for how to build a brand, but I know a lot of ways to not build a brand. Right. And that might be the key right there, is to just make mistakes. I mean, like, nobody cares that your first episode sucks, and like like Adrian just told me like he was going to buy me a podcast mic because my audio sucks.
I did not say that.
I know, but that's how I interpreted it. But like, I've got like such a janky setup. Like, I'll give that picture to Adrian. He'll probably post it on the story. Mm-hmm. But like, I'm just not afraid to put something out there, because like, I am convinced that like no piece of content will cripple you. Right. Every piece of content that you put out there will help you to know how to cater to your audience better and better, so long as you're trying to bring value to them,
Yeah.
What really sucks is like when you think something's going to be awesome and then nobody wants it, or like the analytics clearly show that like they don't want to see it, and that clearly shows that they want to see the thing that you like don't like about your project, or about your brand. So the answer is collabs. So we've done a ton of collabs, and here's another piece, is that you got to figure out what you're good at. Like, so for example, like Adrian and I have been like trying to figure out how to build up Living Ardently, and like his talent obviously is like being in front of the mic and the camera, and like he gets excitement from all this stuff, and you have to leverage that, Right. So like that's his like value proposition to other people when he goes to propose his collab. It's the art of the collab. So like my thing was like, I'm good at video, I've got a nice camera, I know that you need content, so here's my proposition. I'll do all the work for you. Can we just collab?
Right.
I had no followers on The Living Person, but I had these talents to make content, and like the Living Person needs content. Like Living Ardently needs content. Blessed is She needs content. Right. Like Focus needs content. Right. So, and that's what we call in ministry, meeting people where they're at. Like I found like this beautiful way of like, I've been able to connect everything about my ministry, pretty much everything about my ministry, to just like the effective strategies of social media. So if you're struggling, like trying to figure out what to do, you gotta just tell yourself like, I already know the answer.
Right.
Like, what would I do with my teens? What would I tell? Like, how would I do this in a ministry way?
Yeah.
Like in my head, I think about the incarnation, right? It's like, it's about you humbling yourself, bringing yourself down to meet people where they're at. Right. Like God provided the model. And if you're not going to do that, then it's just not going to work. Yeah. And here's the example, like the thing where people go wrong is like, you see like YouTubers that are very famous and have a ton of followers. Mm-hmm. Like they get to talk about themselves all day because they built up their audience. But like the way to build up your audience is like some of these people just started doing, like for example, Jake Paul is like the content is so just like mind numbing and like stupid,
Right.
But people wanted something funny and dumb.
Yeah.
So he met that need, you know? And I'm not saying to do something funny and dumb. I'm just saying he did the model. And he didn't use it for like anything for the kingdom, but the model existed in that pocket as well. So now he did his funny skits, right? And then he got famous, and now he can vlog. What happens is that people think that they can just turn on the camera and vlog about themselves and people will watch. No, your mom's going to watch, your best friend will watch for the first 3 times, maybe 2, and then you have zero viewings.
Right.
If you take a look at every piece of content on The Living Person, it's like highly thought out as to what we think the pains of teenagers are. You're not good enough. There's so much anxiety. You're afraid. And it's us trying to meet the pain of young people in the world, you know? Like, it's so obvious when, like, a Bible quote doesn't work. And it's because that Bible quote was meant for somebody in a different part of their faith life, you know? Somebody may be like just strong in their faith. But the quotes, so it's really about meeting people where you're at. I'll leave you with one more thing maybe. I believe that you asked about like sustainability. How do you sustain it? You have to also come to terms with the fact that social media is a starting point. It will always be a starting point because it's virtual. Like the church exists in flesh and blood and in person, in real time, and bringing those 1 or 2 people, this is actually like 2 or 3 people together, and forming community. You know, like in our mission page, we intentionally say that The Living Person is a starting point ministry because that's all it can be right now. Even like all of the pages, like Focus, Blessed is She, Life Teen, it's all a starting point to in-person interaction, you know, so I got to take a look at your pages, Quayne, but I think you got like a cool basketball thing going on. That is like the coolest thing ever. You know, like how much community is surrounded around basketball. And now you just got to like give them the content that they need. I think when they're hurting, because then that becomes a ministry to me. Like I think that's what like when we're hurting, when there's a void inside, I don't know about you, but I go to my phone. And just scroll. And then if there's a piece of content that could heal the pain in my heart, that's what I want Living Person to be. And I think that's what the church needs to be on Instagram, is to be the healing quote. Like the problem is that people want to give like the chapter 10 of the Bible. No one's going to read it. You know? Just give me like a one-liner that like can get me to calm down and see that things are actually like not that bad, you know? So yeah, collabs, meet people where they're at, and community.
I think it's just like when I spoke to a few of the podcasters too, like I know Quayne's trying to do a podcast as well and do a few other things, but like you know, pulling people with different talents, you know, like Jurell is great with video. Like find that person who's like great with video, make that content, like, and then see what does, like, you know, what you said, like what works, what doesn't work. And I mean, that's how a lot of us, you know, you try and you fail, and that's how you learn.
What have you found success in so far?
I mean,
I've learned 2 years.
1 year. I mean, 1 year in March. In June will be the first year, first official year, and then this like 11-month journey of living ardently, like I've learned that more people are going to listen when I'm not speaking by myself. As much as it's easier and shorter to record a podcast when you don't have to rely on anybody and like schedule around their like schedules, like it doesn't make always the greatest content. Like no one just wants to hear a Filipino Asian kid from Florida talk about like a topic for 30 minutes, you know? But that's the easiest way for me to record, is just me talking and sharing my thoughts. I mean, if you look at my a description about the podcast, it's this just a youth minister sharing his thoughts and experiences and how about to live an ardent life, or something like that, you know? But it's kind of evolved from that. Yes, I still do share my thoughts like right now, but I'm sharing other people's stories as well as mine. And so maybe it's my turn to kind of change that, kind of rephrase that in a different way. But, it's a beautiful thing to try, fail, and to learn. And so,
Heck yeah.
Jurell and I have, Jurell has been a great help to me and helping, encourage me to create this podcast. I mean, to continue growing this podcast and challenging me to make these collabs happen. So like, challenge yourself and not try to do it alone. Obviously, I mean, I know you work for the diocese, so you're going to be working with a bunch of different people, right? So, and then whatever you're doing, it doesn't even have to be like towards community, to anybody, like try fail, like Jurell said, but also find people, because like, you're working with Australia and like a bunch of talented people, I'm sure, out there, just as much as, this entire world is polluted with talented people. You just got to find them and help them use it for the right reasons,
Also, I love helping people with it. Like, I love talking about it. Just no one wants to listen,
Right.
And like Adrian had the courage to just ask, and I was like, "Oh, bro, like let's go. I'll talk about like how to do this all day and what I've learned all day." So, just ask. I think that people will be more excited than you think to help you out and just to talk shop about like what worked and what didn't work. So, content, right. Just like shoot a DM to your favorite podcaster or influencer, right. And I think that you'll find you'll be surprised. I mean, don't be surprised if you get a no. I don't have time. I'm too busy. But that's just how it goes.
Right.
Not
being afraid of a no. Yeah. I mean, I didn't know I didn't know how I was going to react to Jurell, but I know I have had interacted with him online enough for the past couple years to like at least be comfortable with asking the question. And it took me 2 years to ask him that. Not that I had any reason to, because I didn't have a podcast then, but when I started trying to build this brand, I had a reason, and I knew I had a way.
I have I'm in Cleveland and I do video work, so I could probably pull up every Cavs player, every Indians player, their Instagram, pull up their DMs, and you'll see a DM from me, like asking.
Oh, really?
Asking if I say like, "Hi, my name's Jurell. I'm super hungry. I'm in it to win it. I want to create content for you. I'll do it for free. Like, I just really want to help. Let me know if you need my time. I won't charge anything. I just want to make your brand and add to it. So just let me," something like that.
Yeah.
It's like, it's all value,
right?
And you don't have to be like egotistical about it. Be super humble about it, and but nothing's going to happen if you don't ask. That's for sure.
Right. And that's what I've learned a lot of that from. I've messaged a lot of people I had to message all the people that I had on COVID for this COVID series, and just like ask them, "Hey, would you be down?" And a lot of the times I got a yes, but there was like 2-3 people that had just completely ignored my DM, which is completely fine, and you gotta be ready for that, I guess, and it's terrifying. I mean, it is terrifying to be rejected, but it's not even that. It's not about you, like you said,
That's right.
You're trying to work for other people, and when you work for other people, I mean, anybody in ministry is gonna know it's gonna suck, but it's a beautiful pain.
Beautiful pain.
Ouch.
I love that phrase.
So we got another question from Amanda Pasawa Lee, who was a guest last week. She's from Malaysia.
That's legit.
Hey Jurell, it's Amanda from City on a Hill Co. from Malaysia. I've been following you for some time now at the Living Person, and was just wondering, where do you see the Living Person in about 5 years' time? Do you have any plans to expand or explore different aspects? Thank you so much.
Where do you see TOP in 5 years?
I love that question. Thanks, Amanda. I was listening to your podcast the other day, and I think that's the one that I shared, right?
Yeah. I didn't know which one it was until I recently was like trying to find a snippet for it, and I was like, oh, that's that one.
So good job. I loved it. So, and Adrian, be prepared to answer the 5-year question for Living Ardently too.
Yeah, right.
5 years. I don't know. I mean, I've had a lot of like if it were if I could just do whatever I wanted, I think I'd love to do Living Person full time. But I don't know. I'm just not ready for that yet. There's too many things going through my brain. Just recently, getting my PhD in theology came back to my brain, and like my heart's set on that a little bit more than more TLP adventures. But I think if it were to go as planned, and like who knows if it'll go as planned, I would love to do retreats. I'd love to like put out immersion trips to like trips internationally and then even domestically to learn about the injustices around the world and how to reconcile those things that you see with your Catholic faith. To do more teaching about Catholic social teaching, and what else? More products in the works. Fair trade T-shirts are coming for sure, and I'll show you the two pieces that are actually like I'm texting about right now as like a teaser, because I don't know if we talked about this like offline or online, but this is what I was saying. Like when you create something, you just have to show someone. Right. So I'll show Adrian and see, but it's in the works. Let me see if I can pull it up. Let's see if you'll see it even, but if not, it's okay. I'll just tell you about it. So it's some tie-dye action with
cool.
Some of the samples. Not tie-dye, but like bleaching things.
Yeah.
And then I have these pencils. And I was going to like launch this as a series about Catholic social teaching. And these are just like wooden pencils that say solidarity, solidaridad, and one human family.
Oh, cool.
So there's like a lot of stuff in the works, but yeah.
That's so cool.
It's all like TLP isn't like the most important thing for me. I've got like a full-time job, campus ministry, then I've got a video production company, so TLP gets what's left over, but it's so fun for me that it gets a lot. It gets a lot of energy. It's like when I'm tired with video, when I'm tired with ministry, and you do have those days, you know, like you just like gotta get out of the office. Right. You have your fun project, and that's what the living person is for me. So right. And I've gotten to use my business experience in my video production. I've gotten to use it for a living person in social media ministry. So that's been cool. So
yeah, that's awesome, dude. I mean, for me, it's definitely, it's hard to see where Living Ardent will be. There's like ideas I want to take on. I'm only in my first year, and the living person's been what for like 5 years. So definitely different journeys. What am I gonna look like when I'm at your 5-year mark? I don't know. There's a lot of things I would love to do. T-shirts were definitely something that I had a T-shirt company prior to this that failed and just had to let go. And it took me forever to let go. Like I rebranded, I did everything to kind of try to like refreshen it, and it just didn't go anywhere. And so, I mean, if I could combine the two, that'd be cool. But at the same time, like after what you did last year, I'm like, oh, maybe I shouldn't. Like I gotta like there's a lot of stuff that I need to look into if I wanted to do that.
I can help you navigate if you need. Right. Because the options are expanding, so
that's
it's
cool.
been good.
That's good to know. I mean, I saw somebody, I don't know if she was Catholic or not, but she was like getting fair trade stuff, like thrifting stuff, and then embroidering them herself.
That's what I'm going to do.
Which is awesome. And I thought that was really cool. Because like there will be no other item like that. Unique. And she was sharing it with like, I forgot who it was. I feel like it was somebody who was Catholic, but might not have been. But it's really nice, and it would be really cool to have that aspect to it. I would love to. I mean, I was thinking about it earlier. Like, it would be cool to have like, if not have a retreat, but maybe at least have like, be part of a retreat in some way. I was talking to somebody, one of my guests last week, and he said to me, he's like, it'd be really cool if you could be your full-time gig. And I was like, yeah, it would be nice to be able to do this, because right now, I mean, like, I love youth ministry, but that's going to be hard to leave for me. Like, my teens are everything.
I know.
Like, it would be hard to step away from that community, from that field. But if the Lord, like, continue to take me in that direction, then I would. Yeah, it's tough, but you know, like, I always had that. I mean, I think all Catholics at some point had that dream of, like, oh, to be on that stage and speak and share the truth of the Lord, right? And sometimes it's for selfish reasons, other times it's not, you know. But if you get an opportunity to, like, I get an opportunity every time I record a podcast to share the word of the Lord and to share, you know, good news. But to be able to do that on a stage in front of teens, you know, and change some lives because of it. Just like my life might change because of a speaker with a microphone. Like, I don't idolize that speaker, but that speaker is someone I really look up to and want to be like. Chris Stefanik, like, dude, you're awesome. Like, you helped me realize
an OG right there.
Yeah, you made me realize what I was doing wrong, and helped me realize, like, I need to change my path. And here I am now, like, and it's not just because of him, but what God, you know, displayed through him, you know. And so, I don't know. I mean, I think living person. See, I do this all the time.
I'm starting to do it too now, which is so weird.
maybe there's a merger. Living ardently. I mean, I would love to do more YouTube stuff. I would love to do some more YouTube, like, station content. That was another passion of mine I had back in high school, was doing YouTube videos, but they're very cringy. But now there's, like, a purpose, right? So it would be nice to do some more YouTube exclusive content and see how that could expand. I don't know. There's a lot of opportunities for living ardently that are a question mark, but I don't know where exactly it needs to go. And I think next month is where I'm gonna really start praying. I mean, I've been praying about it, but, like, next month is where I'm gonna do a lot of, like, prayer about, hey, like, Lord, where should I go from here? Do I can just continue? I mean, it's 1 year mark, you know, so it's not like, I mean, it's not like something I should take for granted. It's a huge thing. Well, who was it? Taylor Schroll was like, if you're not going to be willing to commit to something for over a year, then don't do it. Like, if you're going to start something like ministry, a podcast, a YouTube, if you're not willing to commit to the work for a year, don't do it. And it's true, because right now a lot of people want to start stuff because there's a lot of time to do it, because of quarantine. But if you're not gonna do it, then you're just, like, getting people's hopes up. There's, like, this account on Instagram where this guy's, I think it was like a blessed is she, but for men. It was like,
oh yeah,
not holy is he, but it was.
Is it grizzled is he?
No, it's
I saw that one.
That's a good one. I heard about that one. It was those Catholic men, I think. No, they're actually
Catholic gentlemen.
No, I don't know. It was some other account, but I was following them. I was really loving their content, and then they just stopped, and they would come back, and then they would stop, and I was like, "What's going on?" Like, and so if people like your content, you're gonna let people down if you know.
Yeah, it's got to be every day. That's the crazy part. It's the grind.
Right.
Every day.
Yeah, I mean, just like you said, like, there's burnout. Like I get home and I have a schedule. Like, I have a scheduled podcast interview at 5:30. Like, I get home at 5:15 and I have, like, 15 minutes to myself to maybe eat something and then record for an hour and a half. And it's just like,
and then edit for 4, 5, 6, 10 hours.
Yeah, and then I have to, like, chat with my girlfriend, and, you know, for a bit, and, like, I don't really get time, and there's, like, a little bit of burnout there. And I want to work out, and, like, you know, there's just so much. So really take into all that stuff and see where, if it even exists in 5 years, you know, who knows? So the Lord knows. I don't.
Amen.
So one of our last questions here is from Megan Wells.
Meg.
Shout out to her and her husband, Avery. I want Avery to come on the show eventually.
She's, like, iconic.
Yeah, I realized where I was like, when I interviewed her, I was like, I don't know when I started following you. And I remember now after you shared your stories from last year, I followed her because of the Malade in May. Yeah. I had followed a few people. Like I followed Kochi, I followed her, and another person that was doing the Malade in May last year. And then I was just really intrigued by her life.
She's so funny, man.
She's
so funny.
She has a great personality for it.
I followed her because she bought a pink AMDG sweatshirt. I'll never forget this. She bought a pink AMDG sweatshirt, put it on, and flipped out. She's like, "It's so cute! Oh my god, I can't get it! Oh my god, it's so cute!" And I was
That's
like,
awesome.
I need to know this person. Right. So, yeah,
that's so awesome.
Wow, Prayers to her.
Yeah,
she's been a blessing.
Third trimester.
Mm-hmm.
That's so great. Super excited for them. So her question was, how has God revealed himself to you during this quarantine? We had a similar question last week or last month where what does God want to heal in you during this time? But this one is, how has God revealed himself to you during this quarantine? For me, what I've noticed is I think God has revealed myself in the sense of like within the community of people, and seeing how in this time the unity that people are showing, whether Catholic or not, there's so much, you know. I mean, yeah, there's some of those people who's like, oh, this is a hoax, this is like blah 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 blah, all those people, but there's still so much beauty that has come from it, and to not recognize that, I feel like would be a disservice to what God's doing through this situation. Obviously, this is not what God. I mean, God did not intend for this, right? Like, but He's working in this situation, just like He can in anything in your life, right? And to not see how wonderful the community of like just people has grown, I think would be a disservice to the beauty that He's been working. Like seeing how like even these artists, like these celebrities, you know, really reach out and try to do justice or like create for people to encourage people in this time, like to just being active and you know, responding to. I mean, like if you look at a lot of them are responding to comments and stuff, like which is. And like big name artists too, so it's not like common that they would, you know, they sometimes they have their social media manager just do that kind of stuff, but it's literally them. And you can tell, and you see like, oh, people are like interested, like not just for selfish reasons, but like they're trying to encourage people and encourage one another, and that's something that I feel wasn't the norm for a while, where we're really battling against each other. And so to see a community of people really like kind of mourn and to be at one, I think was something how God has kind of revealed himself to me, and through nature, because I've taken a lot of time outdoors, not just because of the Malade in May, but that's all we had. We can't go to stores. We're always indoors with lights that are fluorescent and things like that. But like we're now just left with nature. It feels like nature and God, and to be able to witness, you know, the beauty of His creation, because that's all that's left. It feels like has been very beautiful to me. The community and nature of that we're left with is how He's been revealed to myself.
That's awesome, man. Thanks for sharing.
Yeah,
man. I think I also love what you were talking about. I think like there's something so cool. We just like put them on a pedestal, those celebrities, you know what I mean? Right. And it's just like nice to know that they're human just like us, you know? Right. They've got the same cell phone as us, and they're recording with like the same earbuds, and right. They look just as scrappy, you know, in quarantine when they're filming selfie version as me. Mm-hmm. So that's nice to know that like, there's some humanity in the world, right. And like coming together. God's been revealing God's self to me in a lot of ways. I think when I take a look at my COVID quarantine experience, I just had like such a good routine, and there was like so many things involved in this. We had a baby, right? Like right in the first 2 weeks of I think the first 2 weeks of quarantine, right. And I was just like completely yanked out of like the good thing that I had going on. So I don't know. I feel like it was I don't know. I'm trying to think of some figure in the Bible that was like running away. Jonah. Yep. Jonah was swallowed by the whale. Right. It's like running away. And then finally God's like, just give it up, kid. Whoop. Swallowed. You can't leave. Right. I was kind of just like forced to figure it out. And then I was left with like all these insecurities and all these like these things about myself that like I felt like I knew myself, but then I was like clashing with people that I loved, and I was like, something's wrong and it's not them, you know. Right. So I started to take a little bit more prayer time out of my day, and I did some intentional things. I went to daily mass online, which I got so much peace from, like more peace than I would ever imagine from a daily mass online, you know? Yeah. And then started journaling more, and then started reading more, which is a big thing for me because I hate reading, like absolutely hate reading. Like I was an English major that just like hated reading. I didn't even do my readings. I just kind of, I don't even know why I majored in English, to be honest. I just love the story, and like I love like human struggle and human triumph, but it was like all like faith stuff. So I should have majored in theology, but I just didn't get it. So I think after 5 years of just like grinding in video and grinding in living person and listening to audiobooks and listening to podcasts and YouTube videos about how to be more effective in marketing and I really let that reading practice go like completely. Yeah. So I started reading again, started reading the Bible, started reading the Catechism, started reading about the lives of the saints, and it's just been so fruitful, man. It's been so fruitful. So that's one of the reasons why I mentioned I've been thinking about taking up graduate studies again. I just feel that urge to grow again, to know God and all these experiences of God through the lives of the saints and theologians that have come before. Because, dude, it's such a beautiful tradition to be a part of. It's a weird and crazy thing to know that you're a part of the tradition of theologians that have, like, for ages and ages tried to figure out what life and God means, you know? Yeah. And a crazier experience to know that you're just a part of, like, that original crew of 12 with Jesus and his disciples, you know? So my heart's becoming hungry for that. So God's speaking, God's working. Obviously, could be more, but I'm in a nice spot. And I'll be going on my run again, like during the nighttime. So music as well, like some of the music I'm listening to is very reflective. Check out the song by Chris Renzema. It's called Springtime. And it's on my latest podcast. I put it at the end of it. Oh, okay. It's so good. It's so good. So God's speaking to me in song as well. I just like feel like a little bit lighter, you know, not so burdened down. Yeah, it's good.
That's awesome. That's a really good one. I mean, I listened to that. I'm so glad you brought that back. Actually, by the way. Like, oh yeah. Yeah, I've been listening to it. Cool. I listened to it, like immediately. Is it on Apple? Yeah.
It's not on Apple. I don't know why.
I don't know. Usually by the third episode, it's like on. So it's interesting.
I'll have to complain or something. But
right. And by the way, you can take off that Anchor logo if you log in online.
Oh, you can?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm on Anchor too. I'm able to take it off.
Okay, cool.
And I don't pay anything, so
good.
It's just like a burden to have. But yeah, it's just really nice to hear you reflect on the runs and stuff and what you're learning, because like it's fresh. It's like super fresh from your mind. It's really nice. Yeah. You know, so if you're not listening to Jurell's podcast, go check it out. The Living Person podcast, right?
Yeah, it's just me ranting right now, so maybe one day I'll get the motivation to do the grind of the podcast, but it's nice for me to just get some things out. But that's my space to just rant, and like I promised myself that I would not look at the statistics, because if you look at statistics when you just rant, it's just not fun.
If I'll offer it to you now. I mean, like if you want, I can offer you to like edit the audio for you, just for the podcast version. Cut if you need time.
Oh man, we'll talk about that.
Yeah, we'll talk about it. That's up to you.
Yeah,
but we'll see. But yeah, so
I don't wanna put more on your plate. You know.
I mean, like I said, time is time. Work is work. I literally, what I usually do when I edit, I play the podcast, I usually, because of the video content, I'll edit on Premiere, and I'll just cut and then
that's what
export
I do,
as an audio. So I'll play the episode and I'll just play a video game as I'm listening. And if I hear something that I don't like, I stop.
Yeah,
come on, edit, go back. And so like it literally, I found an efficient way for me to edit without having
I love that. That's cool, man.
Multitask. So, because I already listened to podcasts while I play games, so it's just like, oh, I could listen to mine and edit mine as I play the game.
That's good.
And I just got Pokemon, so like on my Switch, so I'm just.
So you're going.
Like now I literally don't need to listen to anything on Pokemon. Just pause it and just like listen, you know. So, it's so great.
That's good.
So that's all we have for today. We'll have more questions next month. We had some that we didn't get to, so we'll save it for next month. And there's some good stuff there. So thanks, Jurell. Thanks again for coming on.
Thanks for having me. This is always fun.
Yeah,
always fun.
It's great. I mean, we said that we wouldn't take 2 hours today. And
I know. Shoot, it's just too much fun, dude. So
yeah, and we're coming from a place of, you know, answering these questions genuinely, you know, and like a lot of the times it takes a while to kind of form a thought when speaking, and so that's why I try to type my answers in before, but you know,
it's more fun when it's laid back though. So
right, so
especially I pulled out a beer, right?
Right, yeah, same. You might have seen me take a sip. Look at this. Disney, don't take me away.
I love that.
Awesome. So, if you want to ask a question for next week's episode or next month's episode, go ahead and there's a link in the link below in the show notes. If you're listening to the podcast or if you're watching on YouTube, there's a link in the description wherever, and it says like ask a question for next week's or for the next Q&A, and you can just open the link on your phone, like give it access to your microphone, and then ask the question. You put in your name and then it sends to us, and then we'll play it like we did today. So yeah, that's really cool. And then if you don't want to do that, we usually put like a question box on Instagram, and then you can do that. So follow The Living Person, follow myself, Living Ardently, and you'll see those on our stories like maybe once a month or something like that. So do that. If it's not too late to join the Mile Day May Challenge, go over to The Living Person and start running or walking or something, you know.
Yeah.
Get out there, it's fun.
My tagline lately is, you're not too late, you're not too old, just put on your sneakers or your sandals and get out there.
Right. There was one day I took my ukulele out and I was just playing, and I was like, oh, this is so peaceful.
I know, it's good. It's good.
So whether I'm running or walking, it's always a good time. So, I mean, I'm in pain usually when I run, but, you know, it's always still good to get those endorphins. So join it all. And make sure you're following on our social medias. Like I said, subscribe to YouTube if you're not watching on YouTube. Go to YouTube, subscribe. You guys have a YouTube too, so subscribe to The Living Person. If you're listening on Apple Podcasts, it'd be super helpful if you rate the podcast itself and then leave a review. It helps people give an idea, like, is this something I should even listen to when they randomly encounter the podcast. Make sure you subscribe and follow us. Make sure you follow us on social media. Like I said, Living Ardently, The Living Person, and my personal ones, it's only Adrian. Jurell's as well as over there too. Yeah, guys, thanks for listening. I really hope you guys learned something today or enjoyed today's Q&A. You guys seem to really enjoy these episodes, so we'll continue to doing them.
Sounds good. Thanks, everybody.
All right, y'all. See you next week, or see you on Friday, Wednesday. Yeah. And until then,
keep living ardently.
Let's go. That wasn't planned.
That was good.
That was cool.
Oh, peace.